Welcome back, folks. Rimshots with Sean, my buddy Niko. Our first segment, we were talking about some of the stuff that you did. And I mean, you and I lost touch and then we reconnected on Facebook and what have you. But
Yeah,
you've got this new endeavor now.
yeah,
And you said January, so really it's not even a year old yet. So
yeah.
tell my viewers, what it's called. We'll start with that.
Well, La Dramathèque, the name came from a place where we go roller skating called La Roulatèque, Rollatech. So I wanted to play on words with these kinds of venues. We have the Bulltech, which was a pool room. The Roulatèque was for roller skates. Well, we have now drums at La Dramathèque. And it doesn't say guitar attack, so there's no room for guitars, no room for bass, no room for keyboards nor singers. You come to La Dramathèque to play drums and enjoy drums, and it's a very comfortable little salon that I built, and there's about 10 kits in there, and 3 of them are available at all times. So what I do is introduce people to drumming. It's mainly people that don't have any experience. Some people do. I have people that are more advanced than I am, but we have a different relationship. It's not so much a school as it is a place to gather. I do teach, but there's a lot of life lessons as well, and just like plain old fun. And fun is the key word, because if you don't have fun at La Dramathèque, well, you may as well not come back. And so far, people have been coming back and smiling and having fun and getting much better at playing drums as well. So what I do is, in a nutshell, I show everybody how to read basic drum music, and they surprise themselves as how fast it is to actually get that feat done. I make it fun to read. So, and I'm not looking to make avid readers or studio musicians, or the business has evolved in such a way that I can't even fathom people wanting to go in this business a lot of times. So it doesn't mean that you can't have fun playing the instrument, though. So
No,
this
sure.
is what I'm trying to throw into the mix and have a positive influence on the younger generation that have a passion for the instrument.
And it's interesting because I was able to kind of teach a little bit when I was living in Ontario, and I'm mostly self-taught, but I studied with 2 guys very briefly, and one guy basically would start out teaching me what I wanted to learn, but then he'd bring it back to the basics. So it was like I kind of felt like I wasn't being talked to,
This is
right?
funny what you say, because this is exactly the approach that I have. A lot of times I will just let the people play, and I'll be on the sidelines taking notes and actually writing what they're playing and showing it back to them. Say, this is what you just played. Do you realize this is very good? And everybody has their own internal beat. Just last week, there's a 5-year-old that comes in. I just told him, sit down here and play whatever comes out naturally. He laid very simple beat, but I noticed something that you can't teach that. He was doing the hi-hats on the ups with his left foot, and then he switched over. He found a cowbell somewhere, and he was doing the same motion with his right hand. So obviously, this is not isn't even thinking about it. So obviously, he's already ambidextrous. He doesn't even know about it. So I took that little nugget, I wrote it down, and we're actually expanding on a natural movement that he already owns. So this is basically how I go about it. So I'm happy to hear that. I'm not the one that invented it. From listening to what you were saying, your teacher was the same way too, and I think it's the best way. You just let the drums do the talking.
Well, what's the worst thing? I mean, a kid that when you're teaching a kid and they haven't been practicing because they show up and they're struggling with the same thing 2, 3, 4 weeks, and
Yeah,
you can get them through it when you're there with them, but when they're home playing video games, and a lot of people don't understand that these prodigy children that they see playing, the vast majority of them are going to lose interest, probably because at some point they're going to have somebody that's not going to engage in the proper way.
yeah. Well, what I do too is I keep it simple. I keep it very simple. Those drum methods, you have like 36 exercises on one page. Well, I write my own. I write my own exercises, and it's a one pager that I put on a music stand. It's written super big, so they don't have to squint to. So the movements are really broken down, and it makes it much easier. And I see the results. Everything is lined up, so there's not a lot of room for error. And if there is an error, I tell them right off the bat, first off, that there is no musical error or mistakes, or there's, like Bob Ross would say, happy little accidents. And we just make the best out of that. And a lot of times this is what motivates them, because it starts from them. It comes from within, and then we explore and expand on that beat. So it's very cool.
I hate to say, like, now it just seems like sometimes a lot of the soul's gone out of the playing or taken out of the playing. Like when everything was shut down, I was geeking out and finding those isolated drum tracks, and I was listening to Ian Pace and John Bonham, and the groove was there, but some of the beauty parts were the little mistakes that they didn't fix that they left.
Of course, otherwise it's like machine like. Hey, you just touched a sensitive string here when you said Ian Pace, man. Have a machine do that. Well, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And and it's funny, and they talk about a guy that had a swing to his playing. I mean, chops galore, but I mean, just a real swing to what he did, right?
Yeah, it's all in the hands, man. You can tell those guys spent hours and like practicing the rudiments and apply them to a T, but with a lot of feeling and ferocity as well. Actually, speaking of technique, just yesterday morning I was at Drum Fest in Quebec City, and I had breakfast with a gentleman who studied with a couple people you may have heard of, Jim Chapin and Morello from Dave Brubeck. I was just again, I thought I had stories. These guys have stories. I was just like stunned to hear those stories, and picked up a lot of little details that I can't wait to share with the students as I start back tomorrow. So
when you probably know the connection with Jim Chapin in Nova Scotia, right?
No, I don't. Please
His
tell me.
Family owns a place called the Ovens, which is a resort just down sort of Oak Island way. They've owned it for years.
Oh, is that right?
He used to spend a lot of time up here in the summertime before he passed away, and beautiful location. And so that's kind of cool.
I just learned a new stat from Chapin today too. Wicked.
Right. So I guess the other thing too that I want to ask you, when I'm seeing your updates now, are people kind of gifting you drums that maybe want to be in a safe place or on display, or how is that working? Because I see that you're adding things every now and again and maybe fixing them up, or.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm buying a lot of drums for the students. I'm like a bit of a broker, I guess. There's like a renaissance that's going on here. I mean, like every student that I have that didn't have drums bought drums. So even if it's not a drum kit that I own, or it's not about me, it's about them playing. Yeah. So I'll just be extremely accommodating, and I'll go the extra mile. And if the drum kit is 200 kilometers away, that's for sale on Marketplace, I'll go and pick it up for no fee. Just pay for the gas. I don't care. I did that many times so far, and I'll still do that as long as the passion is lit. And I mean, this is what I do. Anything that has to do with drums, there's never enough. Never enough passion. We'll probably scrap that bit, man. I'm like stuttering.
Well, no, and it's great. And when you're passionate about it, you do have things happen. Like, a friend of mine, I'm a Mapex guy, Niko. So anyway, he had this tom that was sitting around that he brought into the club one night, and he said, "I want you to have it because it's just sitting in my basement." Things like that do happen when you're passionate about the instrument.
Yeah, that's what I do too. I mean, kids will leave with something after a lesson. Hey, have you tried this cymbal? they're my cymbals, but if anything else, they'll be collecting dust. So why don't you try it at home? And it'll give you an idea of the power, the sound, and how it lives in your environment. If you like it, well, maybe you can buy it, or we can find something that's similar for you. If you don't like it, well, here's something else to try. So I don't see any guitar players doing that recently. Hey, here's my guitar. Go have fun.
No, that's right. They're too worried about outshredding each other. They're not worried about building a sense of community.
Yeah, I mean, hey, c'est la vie, as we say in French.
Yeah, I get that. So quickly, we're running out of time here, and you and I could yak all night.
Oh, we could.
We could, and we will. You know what? We'll do this again. Maybe just we'll do a Zoom call.
Right, we'll do it periodically. I'd love to.
Yeah, for sure. So where do my viewers find out about what you're doing? Where do they find you? How do they look you up?
You know what? As I said before, I don't have a website. It takes away from my playing drums, the maintenance and just like feeding information on a website. So it's very simple. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram. You can communicate with me via Messenger, and that's how it's done, plain and simple. I see and I answer to every email. Maybe it'll take 24 to 48 hours, but I'm pretty tight with that. And if people have any questions or anecdotes or anything of that nature, I'm always happy to talk about drums with everybody. So I encourage you to get in touch with me on Messenger.
Awesome, man. Last question. You get much of a chance to do much live playing these days?
No, I've actually retired from live playing and even bands. At a certain age too, I mean, it gets complicated. And I set up La Dramathèque in a manner where my drums are way too big. I could, they're there to stay. It's like setting up an organ in a church. You're not going on the road with, you're not going to a different church with your organ. So the drums are the heart of La Dramathèque, and I've had the good fortune of having an amazing career. And it's time to let the young generation pick up the gigs, or the few gigs that are left,
right.
Which is unfortunate. Our experience will not be repeated. I mean, well, it sounds a little chaotic there. Hang on, we'll probably cut that.
Well, you know what, and I mean, it's just different, right? It's just different than when you and I started out. I mean, a lot of kids won't have that opportunity anymore, right?
No, and that's unfortunate, because it's a lot of things, like the traveling and just the being there with the audience and everything else. But for myself, I'm grateful, and I'm satisfied with the goals that I've achieved, and it's time for another chapter in the book. And there's lots of greatness still to come via the successes that I'll see via my students who will eventually break out and be successful on their own.
That's awesome, man. Look, so great to see you. So great to reconnect. We will do this again. I'll shoot you a messenger. We'll just set up one where we'll just chat.
Beauty.
Yeah. And in the meantime, be well. Awesome seeing you.
Thanks for the invitation. It was great talking to you. And hello to all of my old friends in the Maritimes. And looking forward to connecting with you again, Sean.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Take care.